what gets picked to be normal in a society? Who picks what values, opinions, expectations, standards are normal? Well, the folks with the microphone, right? Who has the microphone? Well, entertainers and the news media and the politicians and academia. They all have microphones and tell you and me what's normal. So for 3 years, the folks in the mainstream media breathlessly told us that Trump was under investigation for collusion with Russia to steal the 2016 election. In fact, they trumpeted this idea breathlessly every new day. The shoe's about to drop. This is the beginning of the end. And then we had a federal prosecutor, investigator Robert Mueller, with unlimited subpoena power and tens of millions of dollars in budget. And he spent 2 years investigating Trump-Russia collusion. And we had Adam Schiff going on to CNN every few days there for several months with a brown manila envelope in his hand saying, I have new evidence of Trump-Russia collusion in my hand. And what came of Trump-Russia collusion? Well, Robert Mueller had $40 million, whatever it was, dozens of professionals, unlimited subpoena power, 2 years, and he came up with no Russia collusion. What about any other investigations? Well, we did find that the Hillary Clinton campaign paid for through Fusion GPS. They gave it to a consultant, Fusion GPS, to go dig up dirt on Donald Trump. And they went and hired Christopher Steele, who's kind of a on the outs British spy, and he went and got information from Russia about Donald Trump, and that became the discredited Trump dossier, Steele dossier. So we had this long thing with, oh my God, Trump-Russia collusion, Trump-Russia, and every day the media told us that Trump was about to happen any old time now. And golly whiz, if Trump was a Russian spy and had colluded with Russia, I want to know, get the truth. But what did the media tell us? They told us it was all, and now when that faded away, what did they tell us? Well, they went on to another thing. Oh my gosh, it's a phone call to the leader of Ukraine. Now, when the media Trump-Russia collusion narrative fell apart, did they come out and say, oh man, we were wrong, here's our retraction, golly whiz, we were off on that one. We thought, but it turns out it wasn't true. No, they have never said that. Why? Why would the media not correct the record? Well, you're left with just a couple of answers, and one of them is that there's a guy named David Brooks who writes, he's supposedly the conservative who writes for the New York Times, and I'm going to attach down below a link to his interview the other day, or a piece he did and he talked about how that journalists and academia are the expert class, and those of us who would vote for a Republican are suffering because we don't have the access to the expert class like those in the thriving blue cities do. And so he revealed this perspective of the media, which is that they're better than you. You unwashed masses. I carry a gun and drive a truck and love America. I'm a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal to these guys. They do not respect you. Now, in his interview there, David Brooks did talk about building relationships and mutual respect. He said nice things, but his opinion of me came through clear, which is that I'm not of the expert class. And since I don't hang out with him of the expert class enough, how can I know? I'm a deluded person given to conspiracy theories and all sorts of other problems. And I submit to you that the network media, right, all of them, they do not want you to think for yourselves. They are better than you and me, and they want to control what we think. For example, when something doesn't fit the narrative, they start scrambling. So there was a gentleman in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's a black business owner, and he supported Donald Trump. He had signs on his front porch about how he supported Donald Trump. And Milwaukee's a very blue city, heavily Democrat, and he faced grief about that. I think he was in his 60s. Apparently he old enough, like, I can have my own opinion. You don't have to tell me what to do. And so someone murdered him on his front porch. And golly whiz, we don't know the opinion of the murderer, but golly whiz, it looks like could very well be politically motivated. And on the day of his murder, a few days afterwards, I did a search on the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, none of them, the Chicago Tribune, none of them had his name at all. And I'll put a link down below. I did screen prints of them. Maybe I'll swash them on the screen here. And the media don't want you to have your own opinion. They want to tell you your opinion. And they are not interested in going back and correcting the record. As again, Trump-Russia collusion, the Trump-Russia spy. Where's the evidence, right? Adam Schiff telling us that he had his own committee hearings down in the basement of the Congress where he held his own impeachment hearings, and he didn't produce any new evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, right? Don't have any, right? Don Jr. met with a Russian person and they offered some information, and Don Jr. walked away and said, no thanks. Okay. Well, we have plenty of other things that the media is not covering. For example, the Hunter Biden laptop story. Turns out, maybe you've heard about it by now, but the Washington Post ran a story, which is the fourth largest newspaper in the country, ran a story about Hunter Biden's laptop and these very damning or concerning things about him doing business with money corruption, right? Influence peddling, they call it. And Twitter spiked him. They suspended the Washington Post account. Facebook and Google suspended, and all of the reporters on those networks I just mentioned breathlessly told us that there's absolutely no evidence of this thing. Nothing about Hunter Biden. They told us that. What evidence did they have of Trump-Russia collusion? You know what they had? They had leaks from inside the government, right? People illegally, leaking is illegal, by the way. And they would, anonymous sources would get, and so they would just repeat all this stuff. And where's the evidence? And I'm all for truth. If Trump colluded with Russian agents to hack the election in 2016, by all means, reveal it. Again, they had Robert Mueller, 2 years of Robert Mueller, 4 years altogether. Mueller had unlimited subpoena power, unlimited budget, and he didn't come up with any Russia collusion. But we have this Hunter Biden story, and then after the election, oh, wait a minute. Oh, turns out there might be something to it. Really? Who buys that? The media is being honest. And I tell you, I don't buy that they're being honest. The mainstream media, they are acting just like they were working. That's how I would do if I were working for Joe Biden, wanting to get him elected. I would behave as the mainstream media behaves, right? They don't view a story and look for them. Where's the intellectual, where's the journalistic curiosity about Hunter Biden and Ukraine, for example? He worked for a Ukrainian gas company, was hired to be on their board of directors, paid a lot of money, like almost $1 million a year. I think it was $80,000 a month to be on a board of a Ukrainian gas company. Again, he doesn't have any experience in natural gas. Doesn't have any knowledge about Ukraine. His father is the point man on Ukraine for the Obama administration and influences Ukraine, money that they can get from the United States, stuff like that. And no curiosity on the part of the media about this story. And again, I don't know all the facts, but I think I know enough to go like, golly whiz, I think we should. I mean, that's a lot more curious than Don Jr. had a meeting with someone who turns out had a Russian something or other, and he walked away from the meeting going like, yeah, I don't have anything to do with him. That was the end of the world, right? Oh my God. And here we have Hunter Biden. So the story gets spiked before the election. Now after the election, does the media, do they give us a recant where they say, oh, turns out we were mistaken earlier when we told you that Hunter Biden was not a story, absolutely no evidence of all. They did not do that. So today, what are the media telling us? They're telling us that there's absolutely no evidence of voter fraud, voter irregularities. This is all conspiracy theory, tin hat, pot. I think I've heard this same story before, that the media has told us that Russia collusion, Trump stole the election. They are not honest truth tellers. They live with a bunch of people who think just like them. They may have diversity of color, but do they have any diversity of ideas? I'll try to post a link or two to the story that journalists are 95% blue. Journalists vote Democrat and give Democrat. Guess what? The The people, when you give money, Federal Election Commission, you have to say where you work and what your field is. I'm sure they're trying to avoid that. Journalists give 95% blue. Techs people who work, executives for Google and Facebook and Twitter, they give 95% blue. These guys are not objective. And again, it's America. They can do what they like, but they can't do what they like and then tell you and me that they're objective. They're just giving it the straight skinny. No, they're agenda driven, or they're either willfully ignorant, which is, I don't buy it. Willful ignorance can only last a little while. They are political operatives. The entire budget of CNN should be an in-kind donation to the Democrat National Committee and all its candidates. And the same with those other, they filter stories to make the candidate that they don't like look bad and the candidate they do like to look good. And this is America. They can do that as long as it's a legal contribution, which it's not. But they can't get away with letting us feel like you don't know the truth. You're unwashed masses in flyover country, bumpkins who don't know your rear from a hole in the ground. And I tell you what, I think the shoe is on the other foot, that the media, they don't know themselves which way is up. They believe that their morality is better than yours and mine. And that's what gives them the right to tell us what to do. Go watch that David Brooks story. It was just shocking. He was so polite, though. He even said nice things, that we should build relationships and reach out and mutual trust. Yeah, man, but you just told me that I am not a part of the expert class like journalists are, or academia. And therefore, since I don't have enough access to the expert class, I couldn't possibly know how to think for myself. I must have you, the expert class, to come tell me what to think. And I do not have to have the expert class tell me what to think. I'm an accomplished person, my own right, and so are you. You live in America, it's a free country, and those guys do not get to set the expectations. Because someone is an entertainer or an athlete, good for them. I mean, I applaud their achievements. But that does not give you the right to tell me what's normal. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to think, if you feel discouraged, you feel like, oh my gosh, well, this seems so odd. Trump, when we went to bed, Trump was ahead by hundreds of thousands of votes in these states, and I wake up and he's behind. I just don't understand. And now we've got lots of lawsuits and lots of evidence, and a lot of the judges, they don't want to get engaged in the election game, so they just kick him out for lack of standing or improper procedure, and tells you, oh man, well, no one wants to hear the facts. Judges don't want to make the elections. It's up to us, the people. And so I know early on when I saw the corona masking, I just thought, man, we cannot have mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots is the death of America when we have mass mail-in ballots, because some people will commit fraud. It's way too tempting, and got to have it one person, one vote. And the media doesn't want you to think that there's anything to see here. Move along. Nothing to see here. Papers, comrade. And I tell you, I am not buying it. And I don't think you should buy it too. The media, academia, the talking heads, they don't have the right to tell me what's normal or what to think. And they don't have that right for you. Freedom is better. A free country defends itself. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to defend the honesty of elections. One vote, one person. This is not complicated. Don't believe them when they tell you nothing to see here. Think about it. Freedom is better.